So for this 90 Sports Nostalgia video, I want to talk about a team that I really didn't like and that I couldn't stand, but then as the NCAA tournament progressed, this was a team that entertained me, that I started to really like and enjoyed watching play, and that is the 1999-2000 Wisconsin Badgers, and obviously I will explain why that is. So first of all, when you talk about this Badgers team, you talk about Coach Dick Bennett. Now Dick Bennett, he was a coach at Wisconsin Green Bay, and there he led Wisconsin Green Bay to some tournament appearances. His most notable win was against California in 1994 in the NCAA tournament. His team was a 12 seed, California was a 5 seed. Now this California team, they had Jason Kidd, Lamont Murray, and they couldn't really figure out the pack line defense. Now, when you talk about the pack line defense, that is Dick Bennett, the godfather of the pack line defense. And basically what it is just that the pack line defense, you can pass the ball all around the perimeter. It's mainly used to stop penetration. Really, the players who are off the ball really sag into the lane and kind of stop gaps, so there's not a lot of lanes or gaps to penetrate, and obviously contest every shot. And in the post, depending where the ball is in the post and the position on the court, the post players will defend accordingly. But anyways, when Dick Bennett was with Wisconsin Green Bay, I used to always like to look at the stats and look at opponent's points allowed per game. Wisconsin Green Bay was always like number one, and it was during those Dick Bennett years. So after the 1993-94 season, Dick Bennett, he was hired by Wisconsin. Now Wisconsin, I just want to say this nicely, they really didn't have much of a basketball tradition and not a lot of basketball history with Wisconsin, but Dick Bennett, during his first 4 years at Wisconsin, he led them to 2 NCAA tournament appearances. They lost in the first round. Now, during this time, the Big Ten, it was just a conference that I just didn't like a lot, that I couldn't stand, just because somehow it got to be just so rugged, so physical, such a slow-paced game. And this is with the change of the 35-second shot clock. It used to be 45 seconds, but changed to the 35-second shot clock during, I think it was the 93-94 season. And, not complaining because, I just loved college basketball at the time, and whatever teams were playing, I was willing to watch it. So, Dick Bennett, he was coach of Wisconsin Badgers, like I said, after the 92-94 season. And I just want to say, also his Wisconsin Green Bay Phoenix teams, I saw a couple of them on ESPN, and one thing also about their teams is that they're very disciplined, that they're very poised in offense, and they didn't mind milking that shot clock down, making the defense work. And a lot of those games, like, they really just run a lot of motion and take shots late into the shot clock. But anyways, the 99-2000 Wisconsin Badgers. Now this team, they went 18-13 during regular season play, 8-8 in the Big Ten. They got the 8th seed in the NCAA tournament, and the first round opponent was going to be against Fresno State. Now, this Wisconsin team, they were tough down low with players like Andy Kowske, Mark Verschaw, and then off the bench, they had a player named Joanie, who, like, when he came into the game, he was like looking to launch shots, like launch quick shots, which was not the Dick Bennett way. And me and my dad, we used to like wonder, like, okay, how quick is Joanie gonna throw up a shot? And we were also thinking about, man, Coach Bennett was probably getting angry about Joanie launching all these shots. But maybe that was good, him coming off that bench, having a spark for the Wisconsin Badgers. And he's probably their best perimeter scorer. But anyways, the main player I'm gonna talk about, Mike Kelly. So, the first round opponent, the Fresno State Bulldogs, and this Fresno State team with Jerry Tarkanian leading his alma mater back to the NCAA tournament. And they were talented. They had Melvin Eli, they had Terrence Roberson, but the player I want to talk about is Courtney Alexander. Now, Courtney Alexander, very talented shooting guard, who I thought would be someone who makes some all-star games, be someone who could average 20 points a game in the NBA, but that wound up not to be happening. But still, I thought he was a very talented player. And all I gotta say during this game is that Mike Kelly of Wisconsin, he was a former Defensive Player of the Year, he shut down Courtney Alexander, and he impressed me. The whole Wisconsin team, they impressed me with their pace, how they forced Fresno State to play their game, and Fresno State turned the ball over. And it was just very impressive, this defense performance. Yes, Fresno State shot 50% from field, but everything was just so difficult for Fresno State. And like I said, Mike Kelly, he really shut down Courtney Alexander. And after the game, my father told me something like that Jerry Tarkanian said that his team, I guess, like, kind of ran out of gas. But to me, it was just that Wisconsin played really well defensively, made Fresno State play their game because Fresno State, they're average in the 80s and they like to get up and down the court with their athletes and talent. Next game was against Arizona. Now this Arizona team, they were young, but Lute Olson put together two really good recruiting classes. This team, they had like Gilbert Arenas, Richard Jefferson, Luke Walton, and they also had a couple highly touted high school players in Jason Gardner, a point guard who was very quick, and also Michael Wright. And this team was athletic. They were very good skill-wise in terms of basketball skills. And I didn't watch like the first half of this game, but I happened to see the second half of this game. And as this game was going, I was like, wow, Wisconsin is like really playing well. They're making Arizona play their game. And at one point, the game was like 50-33 Wisconsin with like 8 or 9 minutes left to go, something like that. But during the second half, I was just impressed about how many points they did not allow Arizona to score despite all this firepower. And they had like double-digit leads like throughout the second half. But Arizona kind of made a run, and Wisconsin won 66-59, and I was impressed. And with that win, Wisconsin got into Sweet 16 territory the Badgers are not familiar with. And I was excited for their next matchup. I'm like, wow, I want to see what Wisconsin is going to do next. The next matchup was against the LSU Tigers. They were very tough down low with Jabari Smith, who is the father of Jabari Smith Jr. And also, Stromile Swift. Now, with Stromile Swift, he was getting a lot of hype. He was talked about a lot just because of his athletic ability. He had some incredible dunks, a great shot blocker. He was like 6'9", 6'10", with long arms. Incredible talent. He wasn't really polished offensively. He was the first guy I can remember who could do like a windmill dunk just standing underneath the basket. And I was excited to watch this game, see what this Wisconsin team, not close to being as good athletically. And once again, Wisconsin forced 23 turnovers, made LSU play their game. And Wisconsin, once again, was awesome. The guards had trouble shooting. They won this game by double digits. It was fun to see. Now for the next game, the Elite Eight game, they're playing Purdue. Kind of like a similar style to Wisconsin. And here's the thing, like I said, every game in the Big Ten around this time was just tough and rugged and just like physical. And I was like a fan of like Conference USA and Atlantic 10 basketball just because I kind of like the lesser conferences, and I thought those two conferences were like the bridges from like the mid-majors. I don't think they were called mid-majors at the time, but the bridges from mid-majors to like power conferences. But anyways, like I said, I didn't really like the Big Ten conference at this time. And basically this was like a coin flip, but Wisconsin won the game 64-60. So Wisconsin, they go to the Final Four. But their matchup would be against Michigan State. Now, Michigan State during the regular season, they beat Wisconsin 3 times. And I hate that cliche. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in one season. Hard to beat a team 4 times in one season. But with Michigan State, they can play that rugged style. They can play physical. Tom Izzo team's always tough. They're always going to out-rebound their opponents. And with Michigan State being familiar with Wisconsin and having more talent with the Flintstones, because this team was like kind of destined to win it all because they went from the Sweet 16 to the Final Four, and then they'd be eventual champions here in 2000. And just how this team was being built, like they were kind of destined to win the title. And like I said, they were familiar with Wisconsin, and they were just better. And it was a tough, rugged game, and Michigan State won 53-41. Sorry about that. What was interesting is that perhaps this season, Iowa State was the second best team. Now, during their Elite Eight matchup, Iowa State and Michigan State, this game was played in the Palace in Auburn Hills, Michigan, so it was all like Michigan State fans there. But I missed like some parts, like a chunk in the middle of the game. But at the beginning, I felt like Iowa State had control of this game, that they were playing better than Michigan State. And then Tom Izzo had a technical foul after like some questionable call, and after that technical foul, Michigan State played better. But then also during this game, Iowa State, they had a lead, like I think like they were up by 7. It was a defensive battle up by 7 with like 5 minutes left to go, and then Michigan State had a run, and then there was a questionable call that went in Michigan State's favor. But then Larry Eustachy, the coach of Iowa State, he got ejected very late in the game, and Michigan State won by 11, but that score is a lot closer. And basically, if Iowa State would have won that game, I don't know who would have won between Wisconsin and Iowa State, because Iowa State, they can also play that rugged game, but they're not used to the way that Wisconsin did. They had Jamal Tinsley, Marcus Fizer. Jamal Tinsley, now he would have had a tough time penetrating, but he was a point guard that can keep his dribble. But also Marcus Fizer, he would have had a tough time down low, but also Marcus Fizer at times in college would also kind of isolate on the outside. They're back in the post or try to drop by his man, and he would have had a hard time doing that. But like I said, Iowa State, this was a very good team. They were disciplined, they were tough, and they could have played that game. I don't know who would have won the game, but what wound up being the runners-up that year, who lost Michigan State championship game, was the Florida Gators. And I would have loved to see that game with Wisconsin and the Florida Gators, this Florida team. They went like 10 deep. They pressed. They were led by Mike Miller. They had scoring in the inside. They could rebound. They had a lot of three-point shooting. They launch up a lot of three-point shots. They played fast-paced. And that would have been an interesting matchup. I would have loved to see that. But anyways, this 99-2000 Wisconsin team, this was fun to watch in the tournament. This is, to me, I would say the greatest defensive performance I ever saw in an NCAA tournament, when counting who they went up against. And it was just fun just seeing Wisconsin playing their style, not being as good talent-wise or athletically as like Arizona, Fresno State, or LSU. And it was just so much fun to watch this team play in the tournament, and it really grew on me. And like I said, just the Big Ten at the time, just seemed like all the teams were just so similar with the ruggedness. And when I saw like Wisconsin play these teams with all these future NBA players and playing their style, it was fun and it grew on me and it was very entertaining. And that's about it. I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and enjoy the NCAA tournament. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.